If you're a fan of world-changing war stories, like this video now and comment below which city you're watching from, so I know where my stories are coming from. Have you ever wondered how an enemy reacts when they see a revolutionary weapon for the first time? Something that seems to have come from another world? In the far reaches of the Pacific, amid the scorching heat of World War II, the skies were a stage for epic battles. Japanese pilots, aboard their agile A6M-0s, dominated with unparalleled ferocity. They were masters of the skies, confident in their superiority and the invincibility of their war machine. But this confidence was about to be tested by a sight that would defy everything they knew, something so bizarre and powerful that it would become a nightmare in their dreams. The P-38 Lightning, a legend born of terror and surprise, revealing shocking truths about aerial warfare. In the early 1940s, the empire of the rising sun was expanding its dominions at a terrifying rate. The Imperial Japanese Navy, with its rapid strike doctrine and highly trained pilots, was sweeping the Allied forces across the Pacific. The Mitsubishi A6M-0, light, fast, and incredibly maneuverable, was the spearhead of this offensive, outperforming the initial Allied fighters in almost every aspect. Japanese morale was at a peak, and the idea that an enemy aircraft could rival the Zero seemed almost heretical. But fate, or rather American engineering, had other plans. Imagine if you were a Japanese pilot, accustomed to dominating the skies, and suddenly something completely unknown appeared on the horizon. What would be your first reaction? While Japan consolidated its power, on the other side of the world, Lockheed was working on a radical project. The P-38 Lightning wasn't just another fighter. It was a statement of intent. Its design was unmistakable. A central fuselage housing the pilot and armament, flanked by two engine nacelles extending rearward to form a twin tail. Two Allison V1710 engines, each with over 1,000 horsepower, propelled this beast to speeds the Zero could only dream of. Its battery of 120mm cannon and 450 caliber machine guns was devastating, capable of tearing apart any enemy aircraft in seconds. Compared to the Zero, which prioritized maneuverability and range at the expense of armor and heavy armament, the P-38 was a flying tank, a swift and lethal behemoth. How would you feel facing a machine that, at first glance, challenged all your notions of engineering and aerial combat? But the journey to create the twin-tailed devil, as the Japanese would later call it, was not easy. The development of the P-38 was fraught with technical challenges and skepticism. From the innovative twin-tail concept to initial problems with the Allison engines, which overheated and failed at high altitudes, the Lockheed team led by Clarence Kelly Johnson faced countless obstacles. There were accidents, lost prototypes, and the constant pressure to deliver an aircraft that could compete with the world's best fighters. Every small advance was a hard-fought victory, every failure a painful lesson. Think of a time in your life when a surprise changed everything, like an unexpected challenge at work or in a game. That's how the engineers and pilots felt, trying to master such a radical machine. They needed persistence and innovation to turn this audacious vision into a formidable reality. When the P-38 finally entered service in the Pacific, it wasn't just another aircraft. It was a culture shock. The first encounters were marked by a mixture of confusion and terror for the Japanese pilots. They had never seen anything like it. A double-bodied twin-engine aircraft flying faster and higher than anything they could imagine. This sight initially shattered their morale and the confidence they had in their own fighters. It was as if the Allies had pulled a weapon from the distant future, an alien machine that defied the logic of aerial warfare. The P-38 didn't just fly. It seemed to dance in the air, a constant and unpredictable threat. When the P-38 finally entered service in the Pacific, it wasn't just another aircraft. It was a culture shock. The first encounters were marked by a mixture of confusion and terror for the Japanese pilots. They had never seen anything like it. A double-bodied, twin-engine aircraft flying faster and higher than anything they could imagine. This sight initially shattered their morale and the confidence they had in their own fighters. It was as if the Allies had pulled a weapon from the distant future, an alien machine that defied the logic of aerial warfare. The P-38 didn't just fly. It seemed to dance in the air, a constant and unpredictable threat. In combat, the P-38 subverted expectations. Japanese pilots, masters of the art of dogfighting, close, maneuverable aerial combat, were accustomed to twisting and turning until they secured an advantageous firing position. But the Lightning didn't play by the same rules. Its superior speed and impressive dive and climb capability turned every engagement into a tactical nightmare for the Zeros. The P-38s employed the boom and zoom tactic. They would dive at high speed toward their targets, fire their powerful weapons, and then climb again, disappearing before the Japanese pilots could even react or retaliate. It was a deadly dance that left the Rising Sun pilots frustrated and powerless. How would you feel facing an enemy that refused to fight your way, yet still had an overwhelming technological advantage? The P-38's reputation grew rapidly, evolving from a bizarre curiosity to a feared and respected enemy. Japanese pilots, in a mix of fear and admiration, began calling it the Twin-Tailed Devil, or P-38, the two-body, one-pilot plane. These nicknames weren't just expressions of terror. They were a tacit acknowledgement of the aircraft's ingenuity and power. The P-38 could not be underestimated. It forced the Japanese to reevaluate their tactics and recognize that air superiority was no longer a given. With each kill, with each skirmish where the Lightning demonstrated its capabilities, respect, however grudging, solidified. From which city are you watching this video? Comment below and tell me if you've heard a similar story from your family about wars or innovations. Your perspective is valuable to our community. The arrival of the P-38 in the Pacific Theater marked a turning point in tactical innovation. For the Allies, it was the perfect tool for strategies that exploited speed and altitude. For the Japanese, it was a challenge that required drastic adaptation. They attempted to develop countermeasures such as luring the P-38s into low-altitude combat where the Zeros were more maneuverable, or ambushing them in defensive formations. However, the Lightning's versatility, which could act as a long-range escort fighter, interceptor, and even perform reconnaissance missions, made the Japanese task nearly impossible. The P-38 forced a constant re-evaluation of the aerial battlefield, demanding new approaches and strategic thinking that went beyond traditional combat. How would you adapt to an adversary that completely changes the rules of the game, forcing you to rethink every move and strategy you knew? It was a brutal lesson that modern warfare was also a war of brains and technology. But beyond tactics and technology, the P-38 inflicted profound damage. The psychological impact. For Japanese pilots, the Twin-Tailed Devil wasn't just an enemy. It was an omen. Their unshakable confidence in their air superiority crumbled with each appearance. The fear of facing such a fast, well-armed, and seemingly invulnerable machine relentlessly undermined morale. Many felt mounting anxiety before each mission, knowing they might encounter this metallic demon in the skies, a constant threat. The feeling of helplessness, of always being one step behind, unable to engage in fair combat or effectively retaliate, was devastating. They weren't just fighting a superior aircraft. They were fighting their own terror, the idea that dominance of the skies had been irretrievably lost. Can you imagine the emotional toll of going into battle knowing your enemy possessed a weapon you couldn't match? What kind of despair would that engender in you? And so, the P-38 Lightning, with its innovative design and breathtaking performance, left an indelible legacy in World War II, especially in the Pacific Theater. It not only balanced the air balance, but often tipped it decisively in favor of the Allies, forcing Japan to constantly reevaluate its strategies, tactics, and even its own aircraft development. The story of the Twin-Tailed Devil is a testament to the power of innovation in wartime, persistence in the face of technical challenges, and the crucial importance of seeing the world through different lenses. The Japanese perspective on the P-38 reminds us that history is multifaceted. What is a legend of glory for one side can be a nightmare of terror and impotence for the other. In the end, the P-38 was not just a combat aircraft. It was a catalyst for change, a symbol of a new era in military aviation that valued speed, altitude, and firepower. It resolved the initial air superiority conflict in the Pacific by demonstrating that pure agility was not enough against a combination of unmatched speed and power. If you enjoyed uncovering this fascinating and terrifying story of the P-38, how about we explore other equally impactful narratives? Could we make videos about the Battle of Midway from the Japanese perspective and its critical errors? The revolutionary development of the Messerschmitt Me 262 and Allied fear at the end of the war? Or Hitler's secret weapons, myths, truths, and the impact on Allied morale? Let us know in the comments which of these stories you'd like to see in our next video. Your opinion is crucial to what's to come. If you want to continue exploring more untold stories full of drama, technical facts, and the psychological impact of aviation legends or major war conflicts, be sure to subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming releases. And of course, share this video with a history-loving friend to help our community of enthusiasts grow even more.